This discipline is known as semen retention. At first glance, the idea may appear simple. A man consciously chooses to preserve his sexual energy rather than release it frequently. Yet those who practice it often report that beyond the physical act of restraint, something remarkable begins to happen within them. Semen retention is not merely about abstinence. It is about energy management, mental discipline, and personal transformation. When a man stops leaking his vital force through habitual release, the body and mind begin to recalibrate. The effects unfold gradually, often surprising the practitioner. Many describe a shift in their energy, clarity, emotional stability, and sense of purpose. It is as though a dormant power within them awakens. One of the most commonly reported experiences during semen retention is a rise in internal energy. Sexual energy is one of the most powerful forces within the human body. It is the same biological force responsible for creating life. When this energy is not released outwardly, it begins to circulate within the body. Something remarkable happens here. Instead of being lost, the energy becomes available for other aspects of life. Men often report increased vitality, stronger physical presence, and a heightened sense of aliveness. Tasks that once felt exhausting suddenly seem manageable. The body feels lighter yet stronger, and the mind becomes more alert. Ancient traditions such as Taoism, yoga, and certain monastic disciplines recognized this phenomenon long ago. They believed that sexual energy could be transformed into higher forms of energy, fuel for creativity, spiritual awareness, and physical endurance. Modern practitioners often rediscover this truth through direct experience. Another remarkable transformation occurs in the mind. Many men notice that after retaining for a period of time, their thoughts become clearer. Mental fog begins to lift. The mind becomes more focused and disciplined. This is partly because semen retention often requires resisting urges and distractions. Each time a man chooses discipline over impulse, he strengthens his willpower. Over time, this repeated act of self-control spills into other areas of life. Suddenly, it becomes easier to focus on goals, complete difficult tasks, and resist other forms of temptation. Productivity increases not through force, but through natural alignment of energy and intention. Some men even report enhanced memory, deeper concentration, and more creative thinking. The mind, no longer constantly chasing stimulation, becomes a tool of precision rather than a slave to desire. Something else remarkable begins to unfold in the emotional world of the practitioner. Many men who practice semen retention experience greater emotional stability. Frequent sexual release, especially when tied to excessive stimulation, can create cycles of excitement followed by fatigue or emptiness. When that cycle stops, the emotional system often stabilizes. Men frequently describe feeling calmer, more grounded, and less reactive. Situations that once triggered frustration or anxiety lose their intensity. This emotional balance naturally leads to greater confidence. Confidence is not forced. It emerges organically. A man who practices self-control begins to trust himself more deeply. He realizes that he can master his impulses rather than be ruled by them. This realization strengthens his sense of identity and self-respect. Over time, others notice this shift. The practitioner may carry himself differently, walking with greater presence, speaking with more clarity, and radiating quiet assurance. Many practitioners of semen retention speak about developing a magnetic presence. While this may sound mystical, it can often be explained through simple changes in behavior and energy. When a man conserves his vital force, he tends to become more focused, purposeful, and disciplined. His posture improves, his eyes appear brighter, and his communication becomes more deliberate. People naturally respond to such qualities. Confidence, clarity, and vitality are inherently attractive traits. As a result, practitioners sometimes notice that others, both men and women, respond to them with increased respect or curiosity. This phenomenon is not magic. It is the natural outcome of a person who is aligned internally and radiating stability. Another remarkable change often occurs in a man's sense of purpose. Sexual energy is fundamentally a creative energy. When it is no longer spent solely on physical pleasure, it seeks other outlets. Many men on the retention path suddenly feel a strong urge to build, create, and achieve. They start new projects, pursue business ideas, improve their physical health, or deepen their spiritual practices. It is as if the body and mind recognize that there is power available and begin searching for meaningful ways to use it. Historically, many great thinkers, monks, warriors, and leaders practiced some form of sexual discipline. They understood that channeling this powerful energy toward a higher aim could lead to extraordinary achievements. For some practitioners, the most remarkable transformation occurs on a spiritual level. As the mind becomes quieter and the body more energized, many men report a heightened sense of awareness. Meditation becomes easier. Prayer feels deeper. Moments of silence become more profound. Without constant distraction from cravings and stimulation, a man begins to experience a stronger connection to his inner self. He becomes more reflective and more aware of his thoughts and actions. Some describe this as feeling closer to truth, God, or universal consciousness. Others simply describe it as a deep sense of peace and alignment. Whatever language is used, the common theme is clear. Retention creates space for introspection and spiritual growth. At the beginning of the journey, semen retention may feel like a challenge. Urges arise, habits resist change, and the mind searches for excuses. But as time passes, something remarkable happens. Discipline becomes natural. What once required effort gradually becomes part of a man's identity. He begins to see himself as someone who practices self-control and respects his energy. This shift is powerful. When discipline becomes identity, it influences every decision. Diet improves. Sleep patterns become healthier. Work ethic strengthens. Relationships become more intentional. The man is no longer simply avoiding something. He is becoming someone new. Many practitioners also report improvements in physical vitality. While individual experiences vary, common observations include increased stamina, improved workout performance, faster recovery from physical activity, stronger immune response, higher overall energy levels. This may be partly psychological, partly hormonal, and partly due to the lifestyle changes that often accompany retention, such as better sleep, exercise, and reduced exposure to overstimulation. Regardless of the exact mechanism, many men feel physically stronger and more resilient. Practicing semen retention in the modern world is not easy. The environment is filled with triggers designed to capture attention and stimulate desire. Digital media, advertising, and constant online access make self-discipline more difficult than ever. However, this challenge is also what makes the practice so transformative. Each moment of resistance strengthens mental resilience. Each day of discipline reinforces the belief that a man can govern his own life. In this sense, semen retention becomes more than a personal habit. It becomes a form of rebellion against a culture of distraction and indulgence. While semen retention can be powerful, it is important to approach it with balance and wisdom. The goal is not repression or shame regarding sexuality. Sexual energy is natural and healthy. Instead, the purpose of retention is to develop awareness and control over that energy. Some practitioners choose long periods of retention, while others practice moderation. What matters most is the conscious decision to use energy intentionally rather than impulsively. Ultimately, the most remarkable aspect of semen retention is the internal transformation that unfolds. A man who practices retention consistently often begins to notice changes in every aspect of life. His thoughts become clearer. His emotions become steadier. His goals become more defined. His presence becomes stronger. The journey teaches patience, resilience, and self-respect. And perhaps the most powerful realization is this: the energy needed to transform one's life was always there. It simply needed to be preserved, directed, and respected. Semen retention is not a magical shortcut to success or enlightenment. It is a discipline, and like any discipline, its results depend on the commitment of the practitioner. But for those who embrace it sincerely, something remarkable often does happen. A man begins to feel more alive, more focused, and more connected to his purpose. His energy becomes a tool rather than a liability. His desires become fuel rather than chains. In a world that constantly encourages men to spend their energy recklessly, semen retention offers a different path, one of mastery, awareness, and transformation. And along that path, many discover a truth that changes everything. When you learn to govern your most powerful impulses, you begin to govern your entire life. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and share the video.